Hello everyone, my name is Black Dragon, and this will be part 1 of What If Deku Had a Yandere. And we will start once Inko and Izuku get to the store. When they get to the store, Inko's grabbing various items like things like cereal, milk, etc. And then she goes to the checkout. She goes to checkout, and Izuku kind of starts wandering off to the toy aisle, and he's looking at toys and looking at toys, and then he bumps into a girl and falls. Then Izuku stands up as fast as he can and says, and then continuously apologizing over and over and over. The girl then stands up and looks at Deku and says, "Oh no, it's okay." Izuku then hears his mom calling him and says, "Well, I've gotta go. I hope I see you again sometime." The girl then says, "I hope I see you too, one day," in a slow but yet whisper type voice. Izuku then goes to his mom. Inko then hands him a bag, not something too heavy, like something like a bag of cereal, and then says, "Alright, let's go." Once they get to the car and Izuku sits in the back seat and puts on a seatbelt, Inko then says, "Are you ready?" Izuku then says, "Let's go." And once they get to the house, they walk in the door and put up all the groceries. And then Izuku goes upstairs, and Inko just kind of sits on the couch, starts watching TV. And now we will be starting once Izuku gets into middle school. Now, because Izuku actually has a quirk, and it actually has a pretty cool quirk, Bakugo doesn't bully him much. He kind of still like picks on him a bit, but not too much. So, about a month before it's time for the a month before Izuku starts his 10-month training, the teacher then walks into the room and says, "I have a whole bunch of papers here for y'all to fill out what kind of jobs y'all want to be, but I don't think I really need them." And he then tosses the papers up into the air, saying, "I already know y'all want to be quirks, want to be. I already know all of y'all want to be heroes." Then everybody in the room, except for Bakugo and Izuku, start using their quirks, and then the teacher says, "Hey, no using your quirks in school hours. You know that is forbidden." All the kids stop using their quirks, and then Bakugo stands up and says, "Don't put me and Izuku in with the rest of these losers. They don't even have a chance of becoming a police officer." Then Bakugo starts giving his famous speech how he would be more qualified for UA than probably anybody in here. Then the teacher then says, "Well, Bakugo, you have pretty good points, but don't you think that Izuku would be well fit for UA too?" Bakugo then looks at Izuku and says, he'd be lucky to get into the entrance exam. I'd say that's as far as he'd go." The teacher then says, "Well, Bakugo, stop standing on your desk and sit down." Bakugo then gives an angry smirk at him and says, "Yeah, I do whatever I want." He then sits back down on his chair, and then the teacher goes on to start muttering about, well, not muttering, but like teaching about what they're going to be learning that day. Izuku starts paying no attention as he already gets really good grades in his classes, so then he just starts writing in his notebook. After class ends, the teacher then says, "Well, everybody, go home. Class is over, so it's time to go home." Izuku then stands up, grabs his notebook, puts all of his supplies and things like that into his backpack, and then says, "Well, I'll see you later, Kachan." Bakugo then says, "Yeah, I'll see you later." But Izuku then starts walking home, but this time, Izuku doesn't get attacked by the sludge villain. Well, no, actually not. Here's what I'm gonna do. Izuku walking home, taking the shortcut like in canon, but then can't breathe for some reason. He then feels some type of slime all over his body, and then realizes that he's being attacked by some type of slime villain. Izuku then starts to really get upset and angry at this, and his emotions sort of intertwine with his quirk. Sort of. So then, when this happens, Izuku starts using his quirk, and basically incinerates the sludge villain. When All Might shows up and sees this happening, he's like, "Dang, this kid is really good." All Might then says, "Young man, you know you used your quirk, right?" Izuku then says, "Oh my God, it's All Might," and then Izuku starts freaking out, and Izuku hands All Might his notebook, saying, "Could you please sign this?" After All Might signs it, he then says, "Young man, I will not get on to you for using your quirk as it was in self-defense. But you did a very good job. How did you do it? And what?" And then All Might also says, "What is your quirk, young man?" Izuku then says, "Well, my quirk is called firebending, so I guess I can just say I basically disintegrated him." All Might then says, "Well, young man, I think you could be a really good hero, like Endeavor." Izuku then says, "Yeah, I hope so too." All Might then walks off, not picking up the sludge villain since he's already decimated. I mean, literally. He's no more to exist. All Might then walks away, and Izuku starts walking back home. When Izuku gets home, Inko's a little bit worried about him because he still has some lingering slime on his shirt. Then Izuku tells his mom what happened, and then Inko says, "You should really be more careful next time." Izuku then says, "I'm sorry, Mom." Inko then gives a smile and says, "Come on now, come and eat. I made katsudon." Then Izuku says, "Oh, yay, katsudon!" Izuku then starts eating, and when he's done, he says thank you and puts up his plate and says, "Well, Mom, I'll see you probably in the morning." Inko then says, "Alright, son." Then Izuku walks up to his room and just sits on his bed, going to sleep. And that's going to be the end of this part. I hope you enjoyed. I know I did stutter a couple times. I'm really sorry about that. But, that's all for today.